Leveling in Mop seems so slow, and even if the XP changes coming with Phase 2, it's only getting a bit faster from levels 85 to 90. So I've put together what I think is the best way to level any character from level 1 all the way to level 90. So let's begin. First, I want to mention if by chance this is your first character and you know you're going to make multiple characters, go ahead do that now, and once you've created those characters, just run them to an inn so they can start getting rested XP. So, to be completely honest, the leveling from 1 to 90 is quite straightforward. You really just quest, dungeon, and do some more questing, as all of the quests have pretty much been moved to major quest hubs within zones. However, if you do have another character already at max level, then I'd highly recommend buying heirloom items if you haven't already. These will give you extra experience points while you're leveling, so that'll just make it even faster for you. And if you don't know, these items provide a boost from 1 to 80 or 85 if they're upgraded. They cost Justice points and can be bought from heirloom vendors in major cities. You'll also want to get your ult into a guild as fast as possible so that you can accrue honored reputation with the guild, which will allow you to buy the the Bandle Standard of the battle standard of coordination. This will give you another 15% experience buff, which lasts for 15 minutes and has a 10-minute cooldown. This means it's infinite. However, if you move too far away from it, it will despawn, so be careful where exactly you use this. So, stacking all of these buffs will give you a permanent 70% experience boost, with 15% of that being just for monster killing. You can then push this even further if you want to get the Dark Moon Fair buff, which will push you to an 80% increase, almost doubling your XP gains. So, once you've gotten those items and you've hit level 15, you can start running dungeons. If all you want to do is level as quickly as you possibly can, then do every dungeon once or maybe twice if you just want to leave and redo the dungeon again to hand in those quests at the beginning. Since most of the dungeon quests have been moved inside the dungeons, there's not a huge point to run the same dungeon multiple times. And once you've run all the dungeons that are available to you within your level range, and you've been questing in between these dungeons, new ones should pop up and you can continue that cycle over and over. And of course, once you hit 58, TBC will open up to you, and this is what I did. I quested around in Hellfire while doing dungeons, and later Zangar Marsh opened up and I was able to move there while I was questing. And really, this is kind of the entire cycle that you'll go through up until about 85 through 90, and really even up until 90 in a general sense. So I'm going to throw up on screen here some levels that I went to at these specific zones to start questing and doing dungeons within those zones. You can follow suit, and this should be roughly the fastest way. This is all, again, depends on how quickly you do it and how much you're really playing, how much profession grinding you're doing, which you should be doing absolutely zero. But yeah, if you want to take a screenshot or take a picture of this for when you're questing later or whenever you need it, you can feel free to do so. Okay, so a few things I also want to mention. First, in Ice Crown, I sat right here and farmed these skeletons while I was waiting for dungeons, and once I was done, they would reset and I could place my banner and continue farming. After a few minutes of farming the skeletons, another dungeon queue would pop and I would go into the dungeon, complete the dungeon, all of the skeletons would respawn all at once, and I would just rinse and repeat that cycle for a decent amount of experience without moving absolutely anywhere. However, you can just quest instead if you want to. And the next thing is, after Wrath, getting into Cataclysm, you're really going to want to be moving zones almost every level, if not literally every level. And there's portals to each of those zones inside of Stormwind, so make sure your Hearthstone is set to Stormwind, so that each new level you can just keep going back and keep going to the next portal. So once you've gone through those expansions and you're in Mop, this is really where the bulk of the leveling time will take place. However, they did reduce the XP requirements by 55% in Phase 2, but I'm sure it will still feel like a very long time to level. So here's what I did to be as fast as possible. First, I sent my ult flying. So if you didn't know you could do that, you just buy this book from the Dragon Flying Trainer in the Shrine of the Seven Suns, or the other one, the Son of the two Suns or something for the Horde. Also, I did have a problem with the TSM mail add-on, so if you do have a problem with sending that book over to your ults, make sure you disable your add-ons and then try, and then you can re-enable your add-ons. So once you got flying on your ult, start with the first quests near Powdon Village. Do as many of those quests as you can, and feel free to ignore some of the more annoying ones. And once those are done, fly north up to the top of the Jade Forest near the training grounds. Finish up some quests around the training area, and you should be good to move to the Valley of the Four Winds. Do the quests in this area, which will slowly guide you through the region and down towards the Nessingwary camp. Complete a few of his quests and you should be good to move into Krasarang Wilds. I did a few quests from right here and from right here, and then I moved upwards to Kunlai Summit. You should be around level 87 at this point and should be able to accept quests here. And really, here's what's going to feel like the absolute longest part of the entire grind, is roughly the 87 to 90 area. This takes a very long time and requires a ton of experience. Now, what I did to make this as fast as possible is I landed in this village and did the first set of quests. I landed at the Yak Wash and did those ones, and I moved over here to the Coda base camp and did the Coca Berries quests and the Yeti quests and all those quests. And obviously you always need to be queued for a dungeon. You should always be doing dungeons the entire time. Unless you're a tank or a healer and you really just don't want to run dungeons all that often because you don't want to have carpal tunnel by the time you're actually level 90, then feel free to queue roughly every 10 quests or so, as your queues will pop almost instantly, especially around the 85 to 90 level. Alright, and a huge secret I want to talk about with this video that I haven't seen anybody talk about yet is pet battling. Yeah, you heard me right, is pet battling. Now, I know pet battling isn't liked by a lot of people. It's a very small subset of people that actually like pet battling. However, if you subsidize a little bit of your killing XP and questing XP with pet battling, you will gain levels so fast it will blow your mind. So the quest XP around level 87 should give you a little bit under 200,000 experience for completing the dungeon. Now, doing pet battles will also give you that same amount, roughly that same amount. So every dungeon clear reward that you get, every time that XP amount increases in the finder, the pet battle experience will increase in correspondence with that number. So if you're doing questing, you're pet battling, and you're running dungeons all together, all at the same time, you're killing things, you're doing all this stuff, you have a battle standard down, you will go from 87 to 90 in 8 hours, at the most. I was getting from 88 to 90 in 2 hours alone, and I was going slow. I was just me being lazy and only doing pet battling. So there's some really crazy XP to be made here, and I think you should really take a look at it if you're trying to maximize your XP gains while you're doing questing and while you're waiting for a dungeon to pop. Alright, so doing all of these things will make you level really quick. And again, I'm going to put up another set of things here. If you want to take a picture, you want to screenshot it, do whatever you want for later, again, feel free to do so. Putting all of these things together that we've talked about will make you level so much faster than anything else you can do. And for some reason, pet battles will only give you experience once you're 80 plus. So anyways, if you put all of these into play, getting to level 90 won't take any longer than maybe 3 to 4 days of playtime. And any of that other bullshit that isn't going to really help you do stuff and get XP, yeah, if you're putting all of these things into practice, you're going to be leveling super quick. So yeah, good luck on your grind, and I'll see you next video with something that you can do with all of these alts that'll actually help you put money back into your account every single month. I'll see you next time.